pretty safe to say that the DJI RS4 Pro is the best prosumer gimbal you can get right now for most cameras. I've been testing in a few different scenarios with handheld walking, running, on the car rig, and even testing some of the older features like gyro control in this scene. And I'm pretty happy with the performance that I got out of this gimbal, but the gimbal isn't the only release that I'm excited about. The Lidar system has been improved, as well as the standalone Lidar control system that you can now use without the gimbal, and also the brand new professional follow focus wheel. So we have a ton to talk about in this video, so let's get it. So in my opinion, the RS4 Pro has to be the best gimbal that you can get right now. But what are the differences between the RS4 Pro and the RS3 Pro? We have to see what kind of upgrades they've actually done to this gimbal. And you can pretty much see here that they are almost about the same. But there's a couple of major differences between these two models. And you can see this little side switch right here, which will actually allow you to use the joystick as normal, or you can utilize this for your zoom function. Now, internally, they've actually increased the gimbal torque by about 20%, which is always great, especially if you have really high stability use cases. Now, when I used the FX6 on the RS4 Pro, I had pretty much zero issues, but mind you, the FX6 isn't that heavy, and they have increased the payload of up to 4.5 kilos. Now, it was nice and smooth with the cycling and running sequences I actually shot with the triathlete, both on the car rig and handheld hanging out of the car. Now with the car rig, there was only myself controlling the gimbal and Amber was actually driving, so I actually decided to use the Bluetooth connection to control the gimbal through the gyro control. Now this is an old feature, but super useful, and if you want to wirelessly control the gimbal, you can obviously do that. But you can also just use the joystick controls wirelessly too, if that suits you better. And one of the features that we did see in the RS3 and RS3 Pro is the auto unlock and auto lock, which is great to see again in the RS4 and RS4 Pro. And one of the major updates happens to be the mounting plate. Now this side plate can actually give you the ability to go into 9:16 or landscape mode really easily. So all you need to do is take off this arm and then literally attach it into the vertical position, which will give you the ability to leave the camera attached directly to the base plate, and then you just change the arm position. That is extremely useful in today's society. Obviously a ton of vertical shooting for social media content, but with this position, because the center of gravity has changed, you do actually have to rebalance it. Obviously it's not going to balance in the exact same position as it was before, but it's so much faster than trying to take off that actual base plate and putting it onto the cage somewhere else and then mounting your camera in that vertical position. And if you do want to change it back, same again, untighten it, unclip it, put it back into that landscape position and rebalance it, and you're away to go. That's pretty much how quick it is to do that. Now just to test the weight, I did decide to put my Red Komodo X on there with the Nanomorph anamorphic lens. It was really awesome to actually get autofocus out of the Lidar system, which is also updated as well. So the new Lidar motor can accurately focus up to 20 meters away, which they claim to be triple of the last gen. Now it has a 77% increase in the ranging points, which obviously is a ton better. And it has improved human subject detection accuracy, and obviously the active track can really track onto a subject really nicely. But we'll talk a little bit more about that with the Focus Pro side grip. So the Focus motor has actually been updated, and they do call it the Focus Pro motor now, and this one actually has the ability to have either focus or your iris or your zoom, which you can see on here, and it has a little bit more torque, mainly for the fact that you can input between 6.6 volts to 17.2 volts, and it does have an in and an out on this one as well. So one of the biggest benefits about the DJI RS4 Pro is the ecosystem that it's in. The DJI ecosystem is incredible because you can see here that I'm actually powering this directly through the V-mount battery. And obviously if I do want to turn this off, put it directly onto actual gimbal, very simple to do. Got the gimbal handle right here, attach that in, and there you go. I could pretty much start using the gimbal right there, but there is a third one now, and that is the focus hand. Oh, actually, I don't need to take that one off. What I can do is take the base plate off, unclip the base plate, put this Focus Pro grip side thingy-mabob, attach it directly on, and then put these cords directly in, and I've got autofocus with this manual focus lens, which is absolutely incredible and the biggest versatility of the DJI ecosystem. And obviously you can change out these batteries, which, you know, goes directly into the gimbal. And it's starting to rain, gotta get this done quickly. And obviously you'll have tons of battery power with this thing. Let's get out of the rain. Now, before the rain actually scared me off, I was meant to talk about the new car mount stabilization mode, and that is really interesting. Would have been very specific to obviously car mounts and rigid mounts that you're going to be, you know, bouncing up and down, and essentially it's just going to stiffen up the gimbal modes and just making sure that it optimizes it for that kind of, you know, bouncing mode, which is incredible. And I didn't actually use it on the triathlete because I didn't actually know that it was there until I read some of the points about the gimbal. But yeah, I didn't actually have any issues when it came to just normal shooting, but it will work far better when it actually comes to this car mount stabilization mode. Now, it does actually have upgraded motors in here, and I mean, the RS3 was incredible anyway, and the RS4 obviously is going to be better. Apparently it's 20% more motor strength in here. You can actually have up to 4.5 kilos in terms of payload, and I was perfectly happy with the RS3 Pro, but this one is an upgrade in pretty much every single way, so it's obviously going to be better. It's a new generation, it's going to be more powerful. The stability in this thing is next level, and one of the best things that I love about DJI gimbals is the ease of use when it comes to actually setting it up. There is so many gimbals out there that when you're actually adjusting the axes, it's metal on metal, and that grinds my gears. And DJI have this carbon fiber. It's so smooth to actually adjust. It makes it so much easier to do finer adjustments. And specifically with this part right here, the base plate, you do have that dial. Once again, they actually had that in the RS3. In this one, you have that dial where you can just roll it forward or roll it backwards with micro adjustments. Same again, it's just the small things that really make this thing so much easier to use. And just to cap it off, what you can actually do is pair this BG70 high capacity battery as well. This is much larger than the standard battery that you can put into your RS4 and RS4 Pro. And at the bottom, you can actually get a 3/8 mount on the bottom as well as your 1/4-20, which is really cool feature and probably needed with a lot of larger rigs that you're going to be mounting this to. Now that we got the RS4 Pro out of the way, well, we can't forget about the RS4. Now, this one obviously is very similar to the RS3 when it comes to the size. It is a little bit longer by 8.5 millimeters, so that gives you a little bit more room with ND filters on the front and a couple of other accessories that you can sort of go forward and back, which is obviously really good. Now, the build quality is slightly less than the Pro version. Obviously, it's just like the RS3 Pro, where it does seem a little bit more premium when you go the Pro model, but it does have that, you know, vertical quick switch, which is amazing, and it does also have that zoom switch on the side as well, and it does come with a slightly smaller battery, but the great thing about the DJI ecosystem is that you can actually utilize different batteries and plug it directly into the RS4 and you'll get tons of battery, or you can just connect directly through to the USB-C with a external battery and get a little bit more battery life out of it. Now, I mean, other than that, it's pretty much exactly like the RS4 Pro. You can actually attach the focus motor on there if you do get the combo. You can actually attach the hand focus wheel on there as well, which we'll talk about later in this video, but the algorithms will pretty much be the same. Everything else is relatively the same in this one, but the great thing about the RS4, you're pretty much going to get similar performance when it comes to stability and all those kind of things that you expect from a gimbal.
You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the
Now we've got to talk about the most interesting part about this, and that's the standalone Lidar system. And I've been waiting for this for a very long time, and thankfully they've brought this system out, and I'm so amazed with obviously how this works. So I've got an anamorphic lens on. We all know anamorphic lenses aren't autofocus lenses, so this is manually focusing with me without the DJI RS4 Pro. It's literally just got a side handle on that can actually control. Essentially, the side handle is literally just like, you know, what you have on these gimbals, but it's a standalone thing where it attaches literally just by a NATO rail if you really want to. And it works with the Lidar system and obviously the DJI focus system as well. So it's a pretty simple kit. All you need to do is have this side handle somewhere so you can put it onto a NATO rail, then connect this cord directly into the Lidar, connect this cord directly into the focus motor, and then you can actually do the calibrations through this hand wheel, which is just so simple, and it's exactly like what you have with the RS3 Pro and the new RS4 Pro, which you can start using anamorphic lenses or any other cinema manual focus lenses, which is great. This is something that I'm going to be using for quite a lot of projects, mainly for the fact that I have so many amazing anamorphic lenses and manual focus cinema lenses, and some of them are just really hard to focus with because they can have a ton of character. They can have a really wide open, t1.2 aperture. So this is a very interesting tool, and I'm so excited for it. So one of the major benefits that you actually get out of this system here is that you can actually have 3 different lens profiles. Okay, now DJI just sent me a message and said with the new firmware version, which I have to update yet, it gives you 15 lens profiles over the 3 current ones, and that is incredible. That's far more than you ever need. That's a full cinema lens kit and some. So I'm gonna go do that update and get 15 lens profiles now. But yeah, let's get back to the video. So if you are someone like me who likes to use a lot of prime lenses, all you need to do is switch out the lens, and then you actually have that profile in there saved already. And that's obviously if you've done the whole calibration process, which is very simple, very easy, and you may as well do them all at once, 3 different lenses. So now I'm switching over to the 16mm lens. All I need to go into the settings and then just go into the 16mm lens profile, recalibrate that motor, and then pretty much I am sweet to go because it actually has the calibration settings already done to that lens. Got the 27mm Laowa nanomorph lens, and essentially you select the distance from the front of the Lidar to the center of where your actually sensor is. So you just measure that. Mine's about 75mm, so put that in there, and then calibrate the lens, and then take it to wherever it's 1 meter away from a wall. Focus on that wall as best as possible, then take it 4 meters away from the wall, focus on that wall as best as possible, and then it's pretty much calibrated. And it'll take that 1 meters and 4 meters and sort of work out how the Lidar works. I don't know, it does a whole bunch of science, works perfectly fine once you calibrate it perfectly. And then if you swap out different lenses, this is where you can actually change the lens profile, and the profile will already be there. You just calibrate the lens and it will know the distance for the Lidar to work properly, which is incredible. And the face tracking works fine. Like, I just love this. It's great. Now, the very cool thing is the object recognition in this gym scene. It actually recognized pretty much everyone that was in frame and was putting a box around each person. But obviously you tap on the screen and tell the gimbal which one to focus on, and it does a really, really good job. And you do have that manual switch button that you can actually click to go back into manual focus if it does get tripped up a little bit, if people start to walk in front of the frame, which can be a little bit of a weakness. But you do have that option to switch it over to manual focus and autofocus really easy. Now, when it comes to the focus modes, if you don't want to use just manual focus or just autofocus, you can use AMF, which essentially it's kind of like autofocus, but you can do manual adjustments onto it. But one of the things that I personally I don't like, I'm not really used to, is that it fully takes over that control wheel, and you can see the minor adjustments it's actually doing. You can override it if you really want to, but it kind of gives you a little bit of feedback, kind of get a bit of resistance when you're trying to manually focus and put it out of the position that it doesn't want to be in. But it really just depends on getting used to it and if you like it or not. I personally just prefer manual focus and autofocus, switching between the two. But with the AMF, I could actually see that coming quite handy in some situations. Now this LiDAR system is fairly compact as well. You can see it here with my Red Komodo X with the anamorphic lens, and I just have so much more confidence when I'm actually holding this because I do have the dual handle. It's giving me so much more stability. I can get everything in focus with autofocus, or I can switch over to that manual focus. But with this setup, I'd actually be really confident to shoot commercials with. Now, the Pro handwheel. I haven't actually used this quite a lot. It's not something that I would use absolutely all the time. Like I said, it's probably really suited to first ACs and, obviously people who are actually going to be actively focus pulling for you. But if you don't have any sort of wireless follow focus systems, this one is pretty incredible. And I've actually attached my smartphone onto the top, and I can actually focus on myself. If you are filming yourself, this could actually be a really good option. Now, this is another way of actually setting up the DJI RS4 Pro. Now, I've actually got the RavenEye, so I can actually see myself in the footage right here. And this is the new focus handwheel that I'm actually utilizing, which you can obviously use like a monitor on top or the DJI transmission system, which I don't have the DJI transmission system. And I've actually got a manual focus lens on right now. So it's a 16mm lens that's on the FX30. So I can obviously rack focus with this, utilizing the picture that you'll probably be able to see if I can focus on that right there. But you can see how responsive it is right here. Now, one of the great things about this focus handwheel, if you've got this trigger on this left-hand side, you hold it and you can adjust the sensitivity, or at least like the hardness of the actual wheel itself. So that feels relatively easy now. Now I'm going to dial it into 100%. And it's harder to actually to focus with, which is harder in terms of just the resistance. There's more resistance if you do actually dial it up to 100%, or you can dial it back to like, I kind of like it on 25%. It's kind of not too much resistance and it's just enough. It feels about right for me personally. It really depends on the situation and how sort of finicky you want this the resistance to actually be. So what are the situations that you'll actually require something like this? Well, it really just comes down to budget as well, because if you do have a little bit more budget, you can actually utilize manual focus lenses and have a first AC, a dedicated first AC that can control all the focus for you. And then whoever is operating the camera can literally just focus on operating the camera. And it can come down to, just utilizing some really nice anamorphic lenses. And we all know anamorphic lenses aren't autofocus, so you're going to need a focus puller at the very least, or obviously you can focus by yourself. Having a focus puller is, game changing for some cinematographers. Now with this handwheel, you can actually set 2 points. If you just hold, I'm gonna set my point on, say, my eye. I'll rock that there, and let's go right on the background where my focus chart is, and I'll set it there. So essentially I've got 2 points that I can go to, and it kind of has this hard resistance that I can go in between both of these really fast. So it's going to give me the ability to rack really close and rack to the distance fast without, I suppose, missing that spot. But you can just dial it in a little bit. It does add a little bit of resistance to it and try and push you back to that focus spot, which is cool. But I think the best part about that is that it doesn't lock you into that one particular point, because some of them will lock right into the point and you can't go further past that. Whereas this one locks you into the point, but you can have a little bit more adjustability past the point. Now the RavenEye is interesting because you do actually have some focusing tools right here. So you've got false color, you do have focus peaking, you do have zebras if you want. You can apply a LUT, which I've got the Sony custom, just an S-Log3 standard LUT, and then you can change the different colors, which can allow you to focus a little bit differently. Not 100% fan. Sometimes black and white is actually really, really, really good. Now for seasoned first ACs, they're gonna love this because this is removable, and this is where you can actually put your focus marking points on here and attach it directly into here. So there are some focus pullers that will actually, oh, I'm a little bit off. There are some professional first ACs that will actually have a whole bunch of these that are calibrated to different lenses. So when, you know, the second AC or first AC actually changes the lenses, then they change this to correlate with the lens. It has all the focus markings already on there. And it does actually come with 4 extra sleeves, which you can actually have 5 different lens markings on there as well. But when it comes to this focus hand grip, is that you can actually get more features out of the DJI transmission system, which I don't have, so I cannot show you guys, but you will have to watch other videos with if they do actually have the DJI transmission system. And the main thing about this one as well is that if you do have a first AC, they can control either the focus, the iris, or the zoom as well. So this is actually going to be really great for professionals. Now, realistically, this is kind of like a really budget RE High 5 version. So it's very similar to the RE High 5 focus, which that can cost incredible amounts of money. And this is far more affordable than that system, and a little bit less tech in there, but it's pretty much the same and gives you some really interesting Lidar distances that you can actually utilize with that DJI transmission system. So anyway, my friends, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. The link will be in the description below if you do want to check all these things out. Obviously, DJI are heading in an insane direction. They are crushing the game, absolutely killing everything that they're bringing out, and yeah, they're gonna run the world. Well done, DJI, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it.